Welcome into a new Buffs Stampede Radio. Adam Munsterteiger, the publisher of BuffStampede.com. Extremely excited today to get a chance to talk to Reggie Calhoun Jr., who has transitioned into a new role in the NIL space at Colorado from 5430 Alliance over to being part of CU's athletic department as their new director of football NIL/revenue sharing. What's this transition been like for you, Reggie?
Man, it's been cool, right? You're able to see, what the school and the universities are attempting to do and where the landscape of NIL is going. So it's like being in the middle of it. It's just almost like you just kind of roll with the punches, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this ended, but it didn't end. It evolved into something else. That something else means the school has a lot more involvement, which is, I believe, is a great opportunity for NIL to kind of get more level set.
Yeah, you almost have to embrace change in this role, right? I was asking you before we hit record, it's like every day, it seems like this NIL landscape changes just a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely like similar to being in the entrepreneurial space where every day it's a new fight or a new plan or a new meeting or a new, how can we get this done, on this lean operation. So it's literally every day it's a new thing, but the main goal is how do we provide and protect blood athletes.
Yeah. How challenging has this been to kind of navigate it? Like, where do you get updates from? Are you who is all involved in these meetings? A lot of it's tied up in the courts at this point.
So I've spent the last 5 or so years just reading like the legalities of it, learning the NCAA rules, learning what has went away, what has been added, taken away, what the NCAA side is, what the lawyer side of it is, and the settlement side. So I'm getting my information literally from dockets, right? Just learning what the landscape will be from a legal and a compliance side, and then taking my entrepreneurial, mindset and viewpoint from things and saying, okay, how can we make these things marry? And then now that I'm at the school, this is where they stand at. Because I don't think people really understand there's a third party in this whole deal too. It's universities. They have a viewpoint on what they believe should be done because it's a school at the end of the day, right? It's not a branding agency, right? So that's kind of where the excitement is that everybody's viewpoint. There's always truth in all three, but then there's like, okay, what's the common goal? And it's athletes.
And you have a background in football. You played at Louisiana Christian.
Yeah.
A defensive back, correct?
Yeah.
Well, what type of player was Reggie back in the day?
Man, I had fun, man. I was very athletically driven my first 2 years. I got around some very knowledgeable guys, Coach Prime and Coach Mathis, and them, they taught me the game. So I started playing more with intellect, ball hawk. I broke some records at interceptions and, return and stuff like that. So I was more of a team leader, understanding, teaching my teammates how to view the game from a different viewpoint versus let's just go out and play. Let's look at why we on the game. What does coach want to get across? Who are we playing? What's the objective? And then when we end the game, what did we learn? What did we do well? And what did we do so well? So it's kind of like I've always been analytical and looking at the game from a standpoint of how do we get better? And it's not just about lifting more weights. It's what didn't we do? Right, so
sure. What took part in your life between playing ball and getting this current role at CU? What different avenues did you venture down before you got here?
It's funny because I made a post about that earlier on Facebook, just kind of motivating some of my teammates back home. I left school, I had no plan, right? So I started in entrepreneurship. I did door-to-door sales. I did in-store sales, retail sales. I tried my hand network marketing like pretty much every college graduate. Started a few companies, mentoring athletes, training athletes, started companies, playing college games. So it was like I was in sports, but it was always from a consulting side and trying to mentor the next generation to not make the same mistakes that I did and not having a plan.
When you announced your new transition on social media, you said, quote, "The world is changing and we're stepping up to meet the moment. Let's build something special." How can CU fans help with building something special?
So understanding truly that NIL is not a right now thing. It's like how, as a CU fan, right? What do you want to see from the players here? Is it, I want you to come to my school now and just play and win today? Or do you want to be able to associate yourself with them throughout their whole time, right? Because I think also with the portal and things like that, the fan base plays a part in the retention and the tradition that a school has, right? So if you want the NIL space to be more than just about the money, the fan base also has to play a part when it comes to supporting the team, whether it's, if an athlete drops a YouTube video, you support that. If an athlete drops merch, you support that. Because those dollars, the psychological part behind it is the athlete is seeing, I'm getting purchases from people from Colorado. That means they really like me, right? So, because they can't really see like who purchased a ticket to a game to come see them, right? They just know it's packed. But if they're looking at what they're doing through their NIL, from their brand, from their merch, from their events, from their subscribers, and they're coming from this fan base, that plays a huge part.
Where does CU stack up currently? And feel free to punt on this question, but this is something I'm asked a lot about. Like, how competitive is CU in this landscape, and how close could they be to like bridging that gap to being more competitive?
I think. What are you asking as far as like dollars?
I mean, you're going up on the field with other programs that have NIL too,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And I know you can't talk numbers, and that's something that's kind of done behind the scenes. But just as a collective, like we're going away from collectives, but just as a collective NIL support fan base with CU, where do you see that kind of stacking up?
So the beauty of it is that if you separate what it actually is, NIL, we do NIL well.
Yeah.
From a branding, marketing, exposure, notoriety side, we do NIL really well. On the revenue side, we're talking from dollar per dollar, we make our dollars count because we actually go and get players that fit the program, fit what the atmosphere is, fit the culture. So we're spending right dollars. We know everybody wants to go get the hottest name in the portal, right? It's not realistic if the athlete doesn't fit, right? We can go get as many 5 stars from the portal as possible, but then they hear 6 months because it's not what they want to be. So we use our dollars in a proper way. So now we're building a real team, right? We had 2 superstars last year. So we had those guys, right?
Yeah.
And that worked out well for that team. Now we're transitioning. So we use our NIL revenue share dollars in the proper way. But when it comes to actually like NIL for an athlete, we do that better than any team in the nation.
Given that, if you're a Colorado fan, you'd wish for more regulations with NIL, right? The more regulations, the better for CU.
Yeah.
Because you are actually implementing name, image, likeness the way the court saw fit.
Yep.
And then there were no guardrails and just things went crazy. So going forward, the more regulations, the better for CU, right?
Yeah. And the better for the athlete too, right? Because if the universities are involved, there's a sense of calmness knowing that I'm guaranteed to get this money, right, for an athlete. If I come in and the agreement is between myself and the university, I know it's coming, right? Some of the issues with the collective side is that you overpromise and get caught in a wedge where you can't deliver, right? So you're looking at what's going to happen in the future, that now the athletes are looking at the programs as a whole. What do you have to offer? I know the money's there. So now that the money part is set, it's like, all right, cool. We know we're getting paid here. What else can y'all do? That's where I believe that CU wins.
You're much more than a fundraiser. What drives you? What do you hope your legacy is in this role?
Truly educating the fan base and the university that NIL is not just dollars, right? NIL is every part of the ecosystem at the school. And how do we get back to selling the athlete on the education experience, the network, the alumni, the resources, the career development, the longevity, being tied to this program due to all the things we have offered here on top of the money, right? So what I really want to be able to do is establish a program here where the athletes who come here see the value in the program, the education, but also make enough money where they can set themselves up for life.
One of the things Coach Prime has said that he wants financial literacy classes for everybody. Is that, you think a possibility going forward?
Yes. Coach Prime he's always thinking around the corner, right? So it's kind of one of those things where we're not just trying to bring in people who want to come and do a splash in the pan financial literacy class. We're trying to establish what financial literacy looks like, what does program mean, how do you take this information and when you leave here, you still have it, right? Because a lot of our guys will go into careers where they're going to go drastically down in their income from a traditional job versus here. But then you have someone going to go drastically up. How do you manage both of those? What did you learn here, and then what did we give you to better navigate through this thing called life?
What has it been like working with Rick George?
Man, Rick is amazing, man. He's like straight shooter. It's like, if we gotta talk, then we talk. If we don't have to, then we don't have to. And it's really one of them things where there's a level of respect when he walks in the room. And for me, it's like I like working with people like that. Being a former military guy, it's kind of like we don't have to talk all the time. It's just give me the orders and let's work, right? So I like the way that he handles just everything upstairs.
Do you have some assistants in this NIL space? What does that look like when you get to the office?
Yeah, so we're actually in the process now of building out this office.
Okay.
Right. So right now it's just myself, a couple other on staffers like Abhishek, Alec Russo. So all those people kind of doing a think tank, brainstorming on what do we actually need. But what we don't want to do is go out and just grab people to fill the role without objectives and KPIs and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, what do we actually need to move this forward? And what is our goal in this office? Like, are we just trying to fill buckets, or are we trying to build an actual system?
How long have you been in Colorado now? A couple of years?
No, I got here last year in April.
Last year in April, okay.
Yeah.
What stood out to you about this state, both professionally, personally? Are there some things that you've come to enjoy about living out here?
Everybody will say the view, right?
Yeah.
But for me, I think it was the people. You don't, coming from the South, you don't understand what the West brings, right? So I got here and I was like, oh, these people are really friendly, and everybody's, from New Orleans, everybody say laissez-faire, right? Everybody's like, just let the day just go, right? So it's kind of like that, like, okay, you don't care, and it's just like, but it's also clean, right?
Yeah,
so I like the fact how there's an intentionality in keeping the roads clean, and keeping the grass clean, and in the air, like the air is just different. Like last year, y'all had the fires.
Yeah.
And you saw the sky that was, it was smoggy, right? To me, I'm like, man, I've seen smog before. It looks the same as in the downtown, somewhere else. So just seeing like the level of care around here, just you want to be part of places that care more than just about, the big things. It's the small things that they care about too. So it's cool.
You go around anywhere, you see CU gear.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case a long time ago,
wow.
Like 5-10 years ago. Like you'd see it around because people, but there was a point, Reggie, where folks were kind of embarrassed to wear their CU gear to King Soopers. They went 1-11. They were the worst college football team in the country.
Wow.
And things have really gotten rejuvenated around here. It's been fun to see.
Yeah. I mean, you can't turn on the TV without seeing a CU jacket or a hoodie.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be in Colorado. You could be somewhere in New York. Somebody has on a Colorado Buffs jacket. Like, okay, this is, that's what I mean about we do NIL better than any pro organization, because we're a national brand from a small market.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Definitely. Yeah. Lastly here, before I let you go, how can CU fans get involved? And I guess what are your hopes in the coming weeks, months, years as you build this?
Yeah, so we're establishing just support the Buff Club Fund now, right? That's our interim. That is been there, done there, is familiar. So let's just start there. But what I hope to build is that the fan base starts to latch on to the NIL initiatives that we're going to be bringing out, like communities and small pods, turning our watch parties into opportunities to support. But we're not looking at home run hitters. I'm trying to find the next big whale. We're trying to build something it feeds itself, but it's also supportive and it integrates into what we do, right? You don't want to just say, okay, let's get a one-off. You want to figure out ways where our fan base can be the fan base, but our athletes and the fan base can work together, but not on give me. It's more so how do we feed each other.
Yeah.
Like everybody quid pro quo.
And even if you don't make 6 figures or 7 figures, like you said, there's still support
100%.
that goes on social media that these kids resonate with.
Yeah, because you gotta think, right? A lot of the NIL stuff is in the digital economy. So a lot of these athletes are on YouTube. They're selling merch where it drop ships. So they're not holding inventory. You get online, you can purchase a t-shirt for $40, or you can subscribe, watch their video, like their posts, share their posts. All those things are free. So as we teach them how to leverage their NIL, the fan base needs to, elevate that by just supporting. All of it. Don't have to just be the superstar athlete. It has to be anybody who's attached to this black and gold, support what they're doing. And that goes further than giving them $1. Like if you watch 15 of their videos, if they're doing proper, then you're gonna pay them just from your attention and your time. So there's no gift too small, and there's no person that we're looking for to save the whole school. It's kind of like, how do we all make this work together?
This was a great conversation, Reggie. It's great to meet you. And this is, again, a very quick changing landscape. Hopefully I can meet with you again, because I feel like the directives are going to be different as we go forward, right?
It'll be different Friday. So it just kind of grows with that, man. But it's going to be fun. We're trying to bring in more things for the guys and the girls across campus, where the NIL is not just for the superstars. It's literally, how do we teach you guys how to build your name, your image, your likeness for now and tomorrow.
Awesome. Great stuff, Reggie. Nice to meet you, and I appreciate everybody out there for tuning in.